Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can see behind me, I've got my Golf GTI, the Mk8, and in this video what I'm going to do is talk you through the upgrades that I made on this car and how those handling mods, where I was at Awesome in Manchester a couple of weeks ago and I had some handling mods done to the car. So for those of you that are new to the channel, this is my Golf GTI, the Mk8. If you just stumbled across this content, I've had this car for about 6 months. It's finished off in the King's Red, which I think is a fantastic colour. Those alloy wheels, for example, those are the Bowler FLE. They're not standard. I've had them on the car for about 3-4 months now, and I think they make the car just look that much more aggressive. Front end, pretty much a usual affair. There's nothing going on. The side again here, got those Bowler FLE wheels on, which make the car look really good, and I think a crow out there agrees as well. Around the rear end, the only mod I've got is that spoiler, which is a Club Sport style. It is all in gloss black, because usually the Club Sport has this bit in body colour, but I quite like the black and red theme going on. And you've got the standard twin exit exhaust as well, one on each side. So the car is pretty much standard from a, I wouldn't say visual aspect because it does look a bit different, but from a engine and a transmission and obviously the exhaust side of things, it is pretty much standard. Moving to the car. So moving into the car, it's pretty much standard. You have got a DSG gearbox and you've got the standard tartan seats, GTI affair here. So just thought I'd jump in the car because it's getting a little bit cold and windy out there and didn't want to distort the sound of this vid. So from the aesthetics point of things, the car I think looks pretty fantastic. The alloy wheels really set the car off, and the Club Sport style spoiler in the rear as well. I think it just makes the rear end look quite smart. Now, from a modifications point, there's no power updates on the car at the moment. The DCT gearbox as well, sorry, the DSG gearbox in this thing has got the standard map on as well, and the exhaust is standard as well. So the only thing that I've done is the handling modifications, and I'll give you an idea as to what those are. So recently, probably a couple of weeks ago, I was at Awesome in Manchester and I had the Racing Line 20mm drop suspension fitted to the car all around, i.e. the springs. Together with that, I had the Bilstein front top mounts done, and the reason for that is usually the stock top mounts, when you start fettling with them, they usually give after about 500-600 miles and they start rattling. So while the suspension's out of the car, you might as well change that as well. And I think I've done about 1,000 miles since I've had the car since then, and it's been absolutely fantastic. I then had the Geo done for a fast road setup while I was at Awesome as part of like the suspension upgrade, and you know, I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about that when we're on those country lanes. So outside of my YouTube life, which I didn't capture on video, I had the underbody braces fitted to this car, which are the Racing Line underbody braces. They're like an aluminium billet which literally replaces the OEM part. I suppose the idea being is that they improve a little bit more stability around corners and stuff like that, so we'll see how that kind of features. And there's like another kind of couple of braces that are, you know, OEM parts which I've upgraded to the Racing Line. So I think the idea being is that with all the Racing Line mods that I've done handling wise, I want to make this car into a little bit more of a baseline GTI Racing Line edition. That's just me just making that up right there, but that's the kind of theme that I want to go down. So most of the upgrades that will be coming to this car will be Racing Line back. They're not sponsoring anything, it's just a vision that I've got, and I just kind of think, you know, from rather than having various bits on the car, I'll just go, you know, with that kind of one theme kind of look with the car and kind of see how it kind of goes. So hopefully this has given you guys a bit of an insight as to what I've done to the car. I mean, let me know in the comments below what you think of how this car looks. I really think it looks amazing in the way it sits. I mean, like the wheel arch gap now is so much reduced. It really sets off those Bowler wheels. And you know, we're going to now take it on those country lanes and kind of see how this car actually feels on those lanes as well, giving you guys an impression. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll wrap up out there somewhere. So just before we go out on those country lanes, you can see here that gap there has really reduced. I mean, it was probably twice that gap before I had the car lowered, but right now it does fill those arches quite well. I mean, these alloys are 18 inches and the tyre is a 225 40/18. You know, I might even think about going to like a 235 maybe, just because if you look at it from this point, the alloy wheel is an offset 45 and the tyre just kind of bends around it rather than comes over it. So if I go for a 235 perhaps I'll get a little bit more protection on the alloy as well. That's the idea there anyway, but I think, just look at it, man, it just looks awesome. So while I get down there on those back roads, just give you an idea as to what these springs feel like on a day-to-day basis. I've had them on the car now for about 3 weeks, something like that, and they just feel like a normal spring, you know. They don't feel any firmer, you don't feel any more jolts. I mean, the OEM part on the GTI was pretty decent, because, you know, it's GTI, so it has to be. But equally, having said that, with these lowering springs on the car, it's dropped the car by about 20 mil all around, but honestly, I can't tell any differences, like, you know, if there's any more firmness in, like, say, the ride, or if you're feeling any more jolts coming through. It's absolutely fine, you know, and that's the beauty of these. It just feels like an OEM plus part. We are going to get closer to those country lanes now, and, like, you know, I'm going to throw it around some corners, and with a few handling mods that I've done, we should be able to see, you know, how it's improved the ride. So one thing to note is the alloy wheels that I've got on the car, the Boulder FLEs, I believe, they are about 2 kgs lighter than the OEM wheels, so you got less unsprung mass as well on the car, so that's gonna help with, like, the handling and, you know, the turning as well. So this whole kind of combination, I'm really hoping that, you know, it makes the car feel a lot more lively, and that's the aim of, like, getting this car to how it's meant to be. Got the car into the sport mode. It's gonna take you around these corners. Yeah, it definitely feels lively now. I know that was just like one corner, but it's how a GTI should be, you know, like, you do your Monday to Friday kind of tasks, go to work, commute, blah blah blah, and then on the weekend you take you out for a little blast in the car. You know, you want it to come alive, you want it to be quite a sharp machine as well, you know, when you want to just drive it around. I mean, the GTI in the Mk8 form, you know, it comes quite packed with a lot of tech stuff, you know. So for example, you got an ELSD on the front, you know. It's already quite a capable car. It's been a while since I've actually been down these country lanes. Hope nothing's changed, but yeah, it's quite progressive. The turning is just as sharp, if not sharper, than what it was before. Got my Bentley's going past, but there we are. Yeah, there's a lot of knocking around going on in all these cubby holes that I've got, but to be honest, it is very impressive. You can really tell how sharp this car is when it's like, when you're just like chucking it around a little bit. The slightest steering input makes the car kind of change direction quite quick. And it's quite responsive. I mean, like I said before in, like, one of my previous videos on this GTI, is that out of the box it's pretty impressive. You know, the way this car is set up, it's fairly quick. It's quick enough for, you know, 90% of you guys out there. I mean, I had an M4 before that, which was like a rapid machine, and I've come into this thing. Yes, it's not as quick as an M4, but it's quick enough. You know, you get no torque steer as well, which is a beauty of this. And it likes to rev out. Before you know it, you know, you are getting down the road really quick, and you are picking up speed quite a lot as well. Let's try and do a launch. Scrabbling a little bit. Bloody hell. Whew. It scrabbled a little bit, but it got down the road quite well. I mean, there wasn't much like torque steer. I had ESC completely off as well. The road is quite dry, so it did hook up quite well, which was quite interesting. Yeah, that was pretty good. It did say something like the gearbox is too hot, but seemed to have done the trick quite well. Let's try another one on here. Okay. ESC was in sport mode there, so there was a little bit of like cutting the power back a bit, but that's because I had the ESC in sport there. So yeah, I think when it was completely off, there wasn't much. Yeah, ESC is deactivated now. Just flings it around like, yeah. Oh man, it's a bit of a riot, this thing is. It really does have that Jekyll and Hyde personality. Yeah, I really like this thing. The way it's gonna set up now, I think the only thing that's probably letting you down is like the tyres, because they are the Bridgestones, and yeah, that's probably gonna be the next upgrade. That'll really make this car exactly spot on. So I think the mods that I've done to this car, oh look, there's an M4. Yeah, I got some fond memories of an M4. I really want to get back into one at some point, but anyway, to wrap up, I think the mods that I've done to this car, for example, the Racing Line springs, the top mounts, obviously that's just preventative maintenance, but the Racing Line underbody braces that I've got on the car, the whole thing kind of works together, you know, in tandem. It all brings the whole package together. The car itself, with power, it's exactly like stock, so there's nothing going on there. The exhaust is the same, so that's a little bit muted and a bit quiet. I don't want to go like the whole hog with like a, you know, a decat straight through pipe kind of thing, because I do use this car as a daily car. I do some, you know, motorway trips in this, and you know, we do some you know, road trips in this car as well, so it's a bit like, I don't want to ruin it, if that makes sense. But I think from a handling point, the car is sharp, man, and it just looks pretty decent when you like parked up and you just take a look back. You know, there's not that horrible arch gap anymore, and you know that when you're on the back road like the way we are today, the whole driving experience is enhanced quite a bit compared to how it was when it was out the box. And out the box it wasn't too bad either, but just made it like a little bit better, and I think that goes a long way. And I'm really impressed into like how this car now kind of handles, and how taut it actually is as well. I mean, you know, it's a lot more flatter in the corners when you're throwing it around. It grips, well, grip levels are based on the tyres, which obviously is an issue as well. The only thing that's letting you down are the tyres, and as I said, I'm probably going to upgrade them soon. But everything else about it, like from a handling point, I think is pretty good. I mean, yes, it is cheaper to put lowering springs on than to go and do coilovers, but I don't have any intention of running this car on, like, say, track or anything. It was set up for the fast road driving, and chucking it around corners back there and on those country lanes, it does live up to that. You can tell how, like, the small modifications that I've done to, like, say, the Geo, through to the Racing Line springs, the underbody braces, the unsprung mass with the lighter wheels, it all kind of comes together, and that's what makes driving fun, rather than having 1,000 horsepower under the bonnet. So I think from that point, the car is getting there to, you know, how I want it to be. Yes, I might throw in like a stage 1 map on the car, you know, get the best bang for your buck when you do a stage 1. That might be something that I might do, but I have no real intention of, like, you know, getting 500-600 horsepower out of this car. You know, I just want to make this much more drivable every day and kind of live up to it from that point. If you have enjoyed today's vid, give it a like, share, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.